Computer. Lights.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. So, today we're going to be working on Silver Pentacle 2. But I gotta find the master file. There's the master file. Good morning, Brent. All right. Music playing, we have music playing. Okay, good. Okay, so yesterday I bought like the coolest thing I have, and it's like $10, and it was still the coolest thing that's ever existed. So I've been married to my wife for years now, and we have only one real major issue, and that is that she tends to like everything dark, silent at night, and I'm such a light sleeper that if we do that, when the house just so much as creaks, I wake up, right? So, this has been an ongoing problem between the two of us. And I usually listen to music at night. And I listen to music because my brain will settle down if there's just enough variance in the sound around me, and stuff like that. But she can't deal with music at night. So yesterday, on a whim, an advertisement came up on Facebook for a under the pillow speaker. And the idea was you stick it under your pillow and only you can hear it. And I was like, oh, come on, it can't be that easy. And so I went on to Amazon and same day ordering, by the way, which is really weird. I listen to something soft, like smooth jazz or something like that. It's very soft. Nothing, because I mean, if I listen to K-pop or J-pop, I'm a dancing, so it ain't gonna work. So I listen to like smooth jazz or classical music or something like that that's just soft. But I found this speaker, and it's a hard plastic speaker, and you put it underneath your pillow. And I'm a side sleeper, and I can only hear it when I have my head on the pillow, and she can't hear it at all. And it's like perfect. She doesn't hear anything. I got music. I slept so well last night. But now the only problem is I need to plug it into something to play the music. And I had it plugged into my iPad. And then about 4 a.m, I don't know, something went wrong with the router, because that's the way it works with this place. Something goes wrong with the router. And by the way, hello, Joan. Good to see you. But something went wrong with the router at about 4 a.m, and my music just stopped. So I was like, okay, what I really need is a bedside clock. I really do. I just need a clock by the bed. Tells me what time it is. While I'm at it, might as well get one that's AM FM radio or something. But the problem is that Denver's radio stations, they've been slowly phasing out anything quiet. So like there's still public radio. Public radio plays classical at night. But they've gotten rid of all of the smooth jazz stations here. So there's no smooth. So I was like, well, you know what? Just get one with an SD card. Plays an SD card. Can you believe I can find a clock with an SD card, but without a headphone jack? I can find a headphone jack and an SD card, but no clock. I can find a headphone jack and a clock, but no SD card. I can't find all three of them. I don't know what the story. So it's like, well, that's cool. I'm so glad you could join me. I really actually am glad you can join me. I'm here all the time. Although there's been talk, we're probably going to move to nights at some point here. So probably we'll have a lot more people visiting when I go to nights. I rejoined my driving school and I'll be teaching driver's ed. And so that will be during the day and then I'll be able to do that. Hey, Jess. Wow, I've got a lot of people here today. Good to see you, Jess. Trying to see what your picture looks like today. Oh, I've seen that picture. Is that where when you were playing in Austin? Is that when you were? I don't know. Anyway, it's a great picture. They're very small on my screen, so it's like, yeah, squint. I'm getting old. I have to squint at everything nowadays. Anyway, that was last night's thing. Cool. So that was the thing. I figured out now how to finally do the getting music to play at night thing that doesn't in fact make my wife want to kill me a lot. Well, you're very, very small in the profile picture, but I mean anybody who knows you, Jess, knows that you're in the drum set somewhere. I mean, you're just in the drum set, hiding out, hanging out in the drum set. So, all right, today's picture. We're working on this is a piece for a book by Nancy Hansen, who writes pulp books. Pulp being like the old sort of 40s, 30s, 40s sort of style books, which are so that, yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking, Donald, was getting a CD player or something like that. But then the CD player doesn't have a clock on it. That was what I was saying. I can get something to play music and headphones, or I can get headphones and a clock, or a clock and music, but I couldn't get all three of them. What I really need is a clock beside the bed. What I've been using is I have this ancient old Kindle that was sitting by my bed, and I was like, well, it's kind of ridiculous because the poor Kindle here, I mean, it's got, first of all, it's too old now. It only works the one clock that it's got on there now. It doesn't do anything else. I mean, I can't actually even read books on it anymore. So, and I mean, that's kind of maybe the next thing is maybe just get a new Kindle. Who knows? Wonder if do they make Kindles with SD cards? Oh, does not have a micro SD card. Kindle Fires do. Huh. I wonder. Is that you sending me things, Brent? No, that's the garage door opening. That means that my lovely wife has left. Okay. Yeah, no, that was my garage door. That's what that was. The garage door was opening and closing. When my garage door opens and closes, it alerts me on my phone. Same with the front door. I get an alert, and my Alexa will tell me that the front door has been opened. Yeah, there goes the garage door closing. So, but it's all the same beep as when somebody sends me things. Anyway, so working on this piece here, I'm just going to go on ahead. I like where it's going so far. It looks pretty good. I'm just going to now we're going to do some gussying it up, kind of make it a little dirty. If you look at the piece before it, right, we're going to check out the original piece here, which is the piece that we did before. This is illustration 1. So you can see we kind of gussied it up. We messed it up a little, kind of gave it some dirt and some roughness to it. So I want this piece to kind of match that feel. So we're going to do that next. So just going to add a couple of layers in here, like so. And I've got a couple of specific brushes that I use for this. I've got a lot of brushes choices over here. It just makes, like a mess of some sort. That's what it does. It just kind of goobers up a little bit. Because I like these dots when they're doing their thing correctly. I've obviously messed with the dots in some way, right? So if I do kind of this stuff here where I'm just kind of adding this to the edges of it, it's going to add just a little bit of just messiness to this. And then put it in multiply and drop it down just a little bit. And see, it's just adding just a little bit of kind of, it adds some just chaos to this. It's already kind of a chaotic picture. So I'm going to go in here with a medium gray as well and kind of just do the same thing. These medium gray ones are going to come in and they're not going to be as obtrusive because we're halfway through, but it's going to add just a little bit of grit kind of to it. Adds a little bit of that. There we go. And a larger brush size. Kind of come through here a little bit like so. Right, and we're just kind of just messing it up a little. Just a little bit. And then I can go through with a softer eraser. A large, softer eraser. And just kind of come back through and just kind of remove some of the center. And this adds what we call a vignette effect. Vignetting is when back in the old cameras that they used to use, like the camera oscura, the kind of cameras from the 1800s, the light coming through the lens caused it to be brighter in the center and darker as it got further away from the center point of the lens, which caused photographs from the 1800s to have, very clear, sharp picture in the center, and then it would get dark as it went around to the outside, and they called that vignetting. It was the nature of it, and I kind of add a little bit of vignetting to this by just kind of coming back through, and I'm just tapping through the middle here and cleaning up the middle of it so that those dots they get more prevalent as we get to the edges. So there we go. Go back to my brushes. Good freckle brushes. I like the freckle brushes. They do such great, just weird things. Kind of going in here and just kind of adding. We're just adding in patterns here now. It's kind of giving a little bit of a kind of just something to make it look different. There we go, just like that. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a layer in. And I have what I call my skin brush, which sounds horrible. Wow, that's that skin brush again. That's what we use to skin people with. A skin brush. I'm going to hit a medium color. And I'm just going to come through here. And I'm just going to kind of do this. We're going to multiply with it. Just so we can see what we're doing. I'm just going to go through here and just kind of rough up the picture a little. This is going to give a little bit of dimension to things. kind of want to avoid this knife because I really like the way that it makes it like very much stand out here. And this gives us some good depth in here. We'll come back and fix some of this stuff. We're going to have to. There we go. Just kind of going through here. We're kind of adding it adds some effect to it to have just a little bit of this kind of going on in here. And just roughing up the picture a little. And we'll bring the size down a little. Come back through and do the same thing. Like so. And then I'll come back through with a little bit of a this is the blend tool. And the blend tool is good because we can just kind of see how it makes it kind of look more like a painting now whenever we kind of go back and forth over it like this. And you work digitally, you can make it look very much like it's a painting. If we go back through it a little like this and just kind of rough it up a little. I feel like it's still not quite matching the feel here, so we're still going to have to do something with. Oh, well, thank you, Joan. I actually really appreciate that. That's one of the things I was sort of hoping for with this piece. There's a lot of movement going on, and I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be able to get where I was headed with it. So I appreciate that. That actually makes me feel really good. Heading the right way with this. We have a light directly to the right, so I'm trying to kind of give the feel that we've got sort of something going on this way. We'll get back to that light in a minute. There we go. I'll come back in here with the blend brush. I actually like the blend brush better, I think. Now, in theory, we have a Liquify tool, and I don't know where that tool is. I've heard people talk about it. Liquify is one of the very useful tools that I'm missing by dumping Photoshop. And so I'm actually somewhat interested in knowing that CSP has added Liquify. It's a very useful tool to have. I'm not sure where it went. So, okay, so we're kind of going in here and kind of doing this and just giving a little bit of shape and well, thank you, Ghost Hand. That's what I was hoping for. Like, it feels like a good old, CC, well, maybe dockside brawl, Okay. Let's go on ahead and add in a layer. And you're gonna sit there and say, what are you doing? Oh no. Bork. Right? I'm going to hit multiply on this guy here. And what I want to really try to do is there's a light over here on the right. There's a bathroom on the right. Okay, there's a light over here on this right side. So I'm going to try to get in here with my big soft brush. This is this really big brush. You can see how big it's getting right over here. I'm kind of getting it to a... And I'm just going to kind of bring in streaks coming in from this light, right? Kind of like this. Because there's a light over here. We kind of want it to, right, kind of do this. That's what we're heading for. And if you go that way, we got to go the other direction, right? So we're just trying to kind of give the feeling that there's these streaks coming from that light. If you look at it just by itself, you can kind of see over here. Well, no, you can't because my head's in the way. Here, let me do this. You can see kind of what we're doing here, right, with this. We're just giving it these sort of kind of wanting to give it a little bit of a... Whoop! We hit the wrong thing. There we go. Kind of going like this. We're just giving it the feel. We've got light kind of coming from over here on this side, right? And then we can adjust it back exactly as much as we want. More importantly, if we switch it to an overlay, oh, did you take pictures? Because that's like really cool. I don't know why I love like interesting architecture out in the middle of nowhere. If we go for overlay or screen gives us probably a little too much, right? But overlay, or we can even color dodge. Look at some of the mixes that we can come up with here, right? If we do sort of this kind of effect, soft light might be exactly what we're looking for this effect. Because this is making some things glow. I would love it. Well, and I don't know. It's like everything. When we're outside of the US, I have sort of a romantic view of everything. As soon as I get out of the United States, in my head, everything is so romantically pretty. It's very pretty. It's lovely. And yeah, so, it adds a certain effect to think of what would the Brazilian countryside look like? In my head, it's something straight out of Studio Ghibli. I don't know why. You're like, no, it's not. That's all right. I would still be. So my mom used to. Oh, there you go. That's so cool. My mom used to say, people don't get lost. They just find new things to be interested in. New interesting things. Okay. This is my mess up and dirty brush. Right? We're just gonna mess up the outside edges. We're on a different layer up here. This gives us that it's a mess sort of feel. And we'll decide whether we want to multiply on this or whether we want to maybe subtract. If we hit subtract, you can see some of it in here, and it's definitely giving us a mess on here. And we're getting kind of, some damage to the picture, so to speak. Vivid light turns it really nice, doesn't it? Darker color. Nah. Really liking kind of the soft light, hard light effect. Right? Because the soft light, it's same thing. We get enough in there to get grit. Can you imagine living out there though? I mean, like you've got just a community of like a few houses, a church, maybe a little like convenience store, something straight out of the straight out of like the 1800s. I couldn't live like that. Oh, you found one on Google Maps. Yeah. I I couldn't live like that permanently, but boy, it'd be so much. So when I was in Japan, that was, and now, we can have the drinking thing go on. Um, when I was in Japan, I was out in the countryside, and that was the best part. Okay, we're gonna add just a little bit of a glow right here to this knife. You paying attention to the knife? You paying attention to the knife? Right? Kind of getting in here. Let's go ahead and bring that brush size down. This is totally you noticing the point of the knife? Noticing it? Here it is. Right? Make it glow. Pay attention to the point. Make the gun go kablamo like it's supposed to. There we go. So he's got this beam gun that he fires. There we go, like so. The problem is I got just a little too close there, so I'm going to come back in with the brush. I'm going to just cut back on it just a little here. When you get flash from a gun firing, it glares, but it doesn't. You want to make sure that it's got just a little bit of occlusion. We cover just a little bit of it. So we're just kind of going to go back over it just like this, just a little bit, just to kind of get that kind of going back. I'm going to follow the barrel of the gun back. Of course, this is a blaster, so it's a special. It's not like it's a pistol or a revolver. The book is steampunk, so it is some kind of blaster-esque thing. There we go. Now I'm starting to like this piece quite a bit. The next thing is, this is some kind of crystalline doodly wop on the back here. That's a technical term, doodly wop. I'm just saying, just so you all know, so that we all understand. And take my soft brush, I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to kind of just go in here and just make a mess of things. That's what we're going to do. Actually, new layer. Going to come back in here. We're going to kind of gray. Oh, we're still on eraser. That's why nothing's working. Why isn't this working? Good morning, Andrew. All right. And we're going to take the blending tool here. We're going to blend it. I'm going to blend it in. And we're going to blend the heck out of this. Give it curls and swirls and things and make it really interesting. And the reason we're doing this is we've got some kind of, it's a blaster gun of some sort. So it's not quite, it's not a revolver or anything like that. And some kind of techno doodle. So I'm kind of, well, that's good. I'm glad you could join me for a minute or two. This has been quite the show. I've had Joan and I've had Jess. Jess is my, wait for it. Stepbrother. Yeah, stepbrother. I have to like think of these things. It's not brother-in-law. That's a different one. I always get these things confused. And he plays in a band, which is actually a really good band, and out of Austin. And his and sometimes he comes up here into Denver and plays up here, which is cool. And I go see him. There we go. Now, remember what we were talking about by ambient occlusion. You talk about the things that touch. They get close to each other and they start touching. And so when they do, you darken out the shadow so that it looks like right? So this ambient occlusion is that what we were talking about earlier about how when two things meet, the light comes in a straight line. So when you have an L-shaped object, the light will hit here and then bounce, whereas the light here will bounce straight back, but the light hitting here will bounce this way. So light getting into a corner will get progressively darker as it gets into the corner. That's called ambient occlusion. It's actually an amazingly cheap way for 3D renders to look super realistic. It is a very cheap way to do that. Okay, kind of went in there, and now we're just going to come back here and just do a little bit of, this is backlighting right through here. So we've got light kind of bouncing off the back, kind of hitting the points right through there. Right? And it gives it just a little bit of backlighting. Makes it look shiny. Do the same thing here. We're going to kind of have the ambient occlusion through here just to make sure that we know that this is on top here and does stuff. And then we're gonna get under here and just kind of make that dark. But then we're gonna come back around and we're gonna tap the underside of this. There we go. Just like that. Way into top hats. I like people who are into top hats, but you're right. They are kind of weird if they're into top hats. You're like, I mean, you do what you want to do. It's cool, but it's a little strange. I agree. As my wife says, don't want to yuck your yum. I think that's a funny one. Kind of getting, whoa, too much. Get under here too, under his arm. And right here to show that the finger is close, right? And the same thing, we're going to come under here and just kind of get a little under his fingers there to give just a feeling he's pressing, right? Because he's pressing in right here. And you want to kind of, the ambient occlusion will help us there to illustrate that because he's pressing, crunching in, right? As you would whenever you're trying to not get shot in the head by the thing, right? I'm gonna go up on my soft light channel, and I'm gonna just kind of come back in here and just do this, right? And it's just going to give us just a little bit of reflection off these barrels, because the barrels are really dark, right? So we're going to do that. And that gives the feel that they are rounded right through the middle here. We're going to kind of just tap to the top, just like that. And what we're getting here is now we're getting a lot more of a realistic feel. It looks a lot more messy. It's the way it should look. I like things that have a little bit of chaos. Of all of the pictures that need to be chaotic, this is definitely one of them, because this one needs to be as bad as chaotic as it gets. So we really want to kind of lean into the chaos on this. So as we usually do, we end up with a ton of different, get under here a little. I just feel like he needs a little bit more darkness as we get underneath. Right through here. There we go. I mean, if there's any one picture in this set that needs to be chaotic, it's this one. Now I'm leaving him still very bright, and I want him to be bright because he's our hero, right? Because this is the good guy in the background, this is the good guy in the foreground. So I kind of I don't want to darken him too much. I really want to leave a certain amount of this still looking solid and not really messed up on this. So we're doing good there. Everything looks pretty solid. I'm liking this piece a lot. I wasn't sure about it when we started, but I'm getting better with it now. Okay, so this guy here, that's the white. Think about the street light is we can adjust it as we wish, right? We've got it already set for this. It could be vivid, and we can pull it back. And if we turn it to vivid and pull it back like so, we can get the ability to adjust just how bright we want to make this. Yeah, I love to lean into the chaos. I love leaning into chaos. If you look at so this one here, even down here, I've got chaos kind of going for it. And this is a calm picture, but I really leaned into the chaos up here, especially from where the sunlight's coming in on this side of this piece. So kind of want to follow that kind of messy, chaotic. I love chaos. It's one of the reasons why I'm so into watercolors, is because there's no way to really control a lot of it. You get splatters and you get, it just becomes a mess. It becomes a mess. And I love it. All right. Kind of going in here we want to do the other side of this. So we're going to do the white parts of the chaos now. Just kind of come in here and kind of do the same thing we did with the black, but in white. And come around the edges here. Just kind of add to this. I especially kind of want to touch right around here, around the gun, where the barrel's firing, because you can see how that adds just a whole bunch of grit to the weapon firing. Like, it just feels like something just happened there, right? And we can do the same thing. We can put this in overlay, and then it's not as obtrusive. I mean, obviously, if it's in normal mode, it's very clear. And in fact, I like this so much because I wasn't actually planning on making it be so chaotic down here and over here. I may come back, and let's do that. First, let's put this in overlay so that it's chaotic down here on the floorboards. We've still got chaos on the floorboards, which gives the feel that it's dirty, gritty. I mean, this is they're fighting on the docks. I'm surprised I didn't draw fish. I should have drawn like dead fish down here or something. I don't know. I feel dead fishy. I got nothing. Anyway, but adding this in here really is kind of useful, and I'm going to tone it down just a hair. Give it just a little bit, but I really liked the chaos that came up here. So I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to tap in right here. Right? Like that feels like something needs to happen. Like that's a gun going off, you know, there's stuff, explosive, blah. If energy is happening here. Even if it is an energy weapon, I know it's an energy weapon. Maybe it's the air crackling around it. I don't know. But it definitely feels chaotic, right? All right. Feeling pretty good about this, guys. This piece looks pretty solid. I'm going ahead and hit the save button. Okay, we are missing one key important thing. I saw my cat. He was here for a second. Then he disappeared. All right. Thing we're missing is out on administration. All right. I'm going to bring in my stamp. Here. Okay. And because of the nature of this guy, we could do it where it's stamped in like so. But I'm going to look just to make sure, because I think I put my stamp on this one in a medium gray. So we're going to take this. I'm going to take tonal correction, hue set, and luminosity, right? I'm going to raise its luminosity up until it's sort of fading out a little like that, because I don't like my signature to be obtrusive. So I like it to be subtle, so it doesn't distract from the piece, but it's part of the chaos that's kind of going on over here. So I put my stamp in like that. And in this instance, it sits over here kind of like that. But maybe it should be inverted. A little lighter than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to invert it. Go for overlay. Nope. Go for screen. That's it. Tonal correction. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring instead its luminosity down. Like so. So we did the same thing we did with the other one, but we're just bringing it down. We're going to bring it down like so to there. And that way we can kind of do that. And it matches, although I feel like it's bigger. So let's make it smaller. There we go. Same size. Good. All right. Okay, I feel like this piece is ready to go. Certain amount of absolute chaos kind of going on here. I love it. I love that gun firing is just all the particles and junk kind of out there. It really gives energy to that. So going to save this, and then we're going to give it a second because we have to wait for CSP to kind of freak out a little. I'm going to save as a JPEG. Let's save it as ELO2. Oh no. We're going to save it ELO2 complete. And then Ron has a hard time seeing some of these at their normal resolution, which is 3600 by 5400. That's the size it's going to be in the book at 600 DPI. Something I try to always do is work double over print. Whatever they're going to print at, whatever the resolution that they're going to print at, I try to print it twice up that, because that gives me the ability to, because you can always shrink a picture, but you cannot enlarge. Once you enlarge it, it starts to get pixely. You start to see its alias is what it's called. That's the effect of the squares that come around the corners. It starts to alias. And so we want to avoid that. But then again, I can't, I mean, it still makes a 14 or 15 megabyte file, which is very hard to email. Because 15 megabytes is the end of what our email servers will take most of the time, like the normal servers like Gmail and stuff like that. So I take, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to drop it down to where the longest side, whichever is the longest side, is 1,000 pixels. And then I will save this special version for email. So I'll say save as, and I'll call this SM, right? Because SM is usually my small version, just so I know. LG versus SM. I know, it's a complicated thing. Well, thank you, Joan. This is a style I've been sort of adapting. With Silver Pentacle 1, when I did Silver Pentacle 1, I realized what I like to do, my style, if you will, is I love sharp, clean lines like you get from manga with chaos like you get from watercolors. And I love that mix, that gradient mix. It makes for a good sort of a feel of energy, but also, rightness. I don't know what to say about that. Like, I like drafting effects. I love my dad was a draftsman. He used to draft on a large table, very similar to my drawing table over here. And I remember that as a kid, him making house plans and things like that. And I stole all of his drafting tools. And it's a story that I love to tell because I went to, the last time I saw my dad, I was there. I was like, hey, can I have all your drafting tools? And he's like, why would you want my drafting tools? You're a cartoonist and you're digital. I'm like, because sometimes I work analog and really there's not much difference between drafting tools and cartoonist tools. And so he was happy. He was like, yeah, sure, take all of them. Absolutely. But it was still very funny because he was like, that moment of, what do you want it for? You're a cartoonist. Why would you use those tools? But I love the very straight and staid lines of drafting. And that's what attracts me to manga style too. But it also is something that I really dig. I'm going to open up Outlook here and I'm going to go on ahead and send so that I don't have to send this to Ron and Rob so that we don't have to worry about it. Silver Pentacle 2 illustration number 2. And then say, hello, everyone. Maybe not. I should say good morning. Good morning. Here is illustration number 2 for silver pentacle. I'll also be putting this out on my Insta and my Facebook pages. So feedback welcome in case you need it. You may share it if you wish. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. I'll attach my professional signature. And then I'll attach the file. One of the things that's really cool is the new Outlook is paying attention to things. So, see you later, Joan. Bye-bye. Yep, we're going to move on to illustration 3 next. But hey, celebration for illustration 2. I think illustration 2 is ready to go out the door. So we'll move to illustration 3 next. So we're going to keep one open, but I'm going to close this guy. Actually, I'm going to save him first. I'm going to save as and make sure that we have him as his complete version in Clip Studio, because I don't want to lose all of these different layers that are going in here. So we are clear on Pentacle 2. And we're looking at Pentacle 1. Now let's open from here. We're going to look at our sketchboard. Okay. So we're looking at our sketchboard. The first time we're going to bring up the girl. So you've got, I don't know, man. Anybody here played the game Dixit? D-I-X-I-T? Dixit? It's wonderful. It's at the Apple's card machine of you have one person who they judge and the rest of the play. And what you do is you pictures on them. And each one of those cards, then you use your card in your own hand, and you use it as you describe something. And everybody then pulls it from their hand face down on the table to try to guess your card, right? So if you put, if you said, I don't know, submersible, put the picture there. Everybody's got it. Looks like it would be submersible. Some of them may be somebody trying to drown, or there looks like it might have a conning tower. Because the goal is to have most of the other players guess your card. But if all of them guess your card, it doesn't work. But the pictures are they kind of look like this. getting robotic. Read, reply. Twitch is working. Looks like YouTube just came back up. LinkedIn. What's going on here? Looks like everybody's online. I don't know. Maybe I'm back. Yep, there we go. Back to green. I'm back. And we have the secret to the air shield. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I don't know, man. Excellent. It's good enough. I think I think Joan had to get going, and I think I've lost Ghost Hand for the day, and maybe I still have Ghost Hand. I don't know. Usually I have you two. I haven't seen Donald in a while, so I may have lost him too. I think Jess gave up on me. Don't blame him. Jess and I are very similar kinds of folk. And so we're both artists, and artists are fickle, weird folk. Okay, so we're going to now. That wasn't what I wanted, but that worked, I think. That's all right. You can head to work or head to lunch. That'll be fine. We may get Brian soon. And I've got 2 viewers now, so somebody else is coming in on Twitch. So that's probably Ghost Hand. Odds are good. Let's go ahead and open our master. So this is our blank 6x9 master, which allows us to be at the right resolution. I don't need to keep that. I don't know what it was doing. That was weird. So we now know what we're headed for with the rough sketch. Yeah, I don't know if it's Ghost Hand or not. No, whoever it was, we lost him. No, I lost you apparently, Brent. Boy, I'm having all kinds of problems over here. Which is funny because I know that you're right there, being you. All right. It's time for us to have semi-naked maquettes, which, you know how this is going to get me banned again from YouTube. Oh, that's funny. Get me kicked off of channels. We're waiting for Daz Studio to load. All right. We'll go into our content library. It's already rigged for Bellatrix, which we're not using for today. We're going to go into our people library. And I use these Genesis characters, but I don't know. Maybe I really want this guy to be big. I don't know if I can bring in. I don't know if I've got enough of a big widget for this guy. Morph to make him big. We'll have to see. Plausibly? I'm going to be doing a lot of modification on the maquette, so we won't be using the maquette for a lot of, like, especially his face. I want him to be very specifically something else. So we're going to go in. We're going to see what we can do and make him portly. That's not bad. Make him big. I don't need to make him that big. Right. Well, that's actually not bad. We can boost him up quite a bit. Right? Kingpin big. It's kind of what I'm after. Right? We're going to make him kind of kingpin big. We'll bring in the girl. Yeah, more than one formula. We won't see her because she's inside this guy. Like, he's so big. All right. So she's actually right here. It's hard to see her. And I have this weird thing that happened somewhere along the line. I got somebody's mod, and the mod is by default always on, and it's very strange because it's very, she becomes very narrow, but it's only half the mod. It's so weird. I'm not even really sure. Probably going to shrink her down anyway because she's a fighter, and I like the idea of offsetting her so that she doesn't look as big as he is. Hey, I hear the sound of Brian.
Hi.
Sound of Brian.
The baritone tones of Brian.
The baritones of Brian.
How's it going?
So far, so good. Had a lot of people on here earlier, like stuff that was really cool. Oh yeah, when Brian attacks next time on. Gotta set the when Brian attacks thing so that we can do all of this. I'm rigging up the next picture, so I'm just going ahead and putting in all the characters and stuff like that. It did specifically say she had bigger boobs, so I've got to kind of boost the boobs a little bit on her.
Things you say as an artist that you couldn't say in public.
Yeah, but never one of those things that I'm not a bigger boobs sort of guy. It's kind of annoying to have to make bigger boobs. A lot of it has to do with the fact that when I've been around a lot of teenage girls who obsess over chest size, and it makes me sad because I'm like, they all try to push their chest size, and I'm like, you don't have to. And not everybody agrees with large breasts. Not everybody thinks that that's a sexy thing,
Mm-hmm.
And it frustrates me. So.
But on the other side, you can have a character that has a larger chest and not have it be sexual either. Like,
yeah, but she's sexual. In the next scene, she's sexual. So we sexualized her.
But my point is there are big-chested women who don't feel like they're being represented well, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I'm with you. I am with you, my friend. She's a fighter, so I've got these lady samurai poses. I wonder if I can use those. I kind of like the look of an effect here we've got going on.
Damn
Right.
it, I could have used that in my...
Oh, here we go again. I'm going yellow. Oh no, I'm going yellow. If you lose me, guys, I'll be back. I'll be back. Just hang out with Brian and his sunglasses.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Brian's on page 7,000 for this week.
Oh, I'm not that far ahead. Only 6,000. Come on.
Only 6,000. Maybe this way? Do I want her this way? Maybe I want her this way. I don't know. I like making her look deadly. I've got a couple of Josie poses that look pretty cool too. Maybe not. Maybe this one? No. That just looks fluffy. She's not fluffy. There we go. That's her. And he's just sitting. Oh, I have Kenjutsu. So how you doing today?
Yeah, not bad. Got breakfast made.
Always a plus. Always a plus. See you in a little bit. That was to yoga poses. I've got yoga poses. Yoga pose.
Yoga fire. Yoga
Yep.
flame.
Yoga pose. Maybe start here. Aw, he looks so cute. He looks even cuter. I want him to be menacing. We'll get to menacing. We got to start somewhere, though. Cracks me up every time. Got to start somewhere.
So how are you doing?
So far, okay. It is amazing how much body language affects everything.
Oh, yes, it does.
I mean, look at that. He just looks like his world just came to an end there. I'm going to start from this pose, but yeah, it's funny how body language affects everything. All right.
It really does. I mean, it's very easy to have kind of bland poses, but when you're telling a story, the body language of someone can completely change what the character says.
Yep.
know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and rig this. Okay, bend it down. Here we go. Damn it. All right.
There it is, folks. The artist, damn it. It comes out at least once.
Did you get on the wrong layer?
No.
No.
I heard you quietly say, damn it.
Oh, yeah. In a way, I also feel kind of like, I get into these pictures. Oh, yeah, the damn it came from the fact that there is a weird 3D problem, which we have with Daz Studio, which it inherited from Poser. And I actually was like, I complained online. I was like, hey, guys, Poser had this in Poser 99, as in 1999. And as I was like, can we fix it finally? And that is, sometimes you see the widgets have got 3 directions. It's got the green direction, the blue direction, and the red direction. Sometimes the X, Y, and Z, 2 of them will get linked. So you only have this way and this way and this way. So it only goes this way and it only goes this way. You can't get it to go this way. And it really irritates me because of that, because it'll get confused and then there's just no way to unconfuse it. And I wrote to them, and the response was that it's actually a flaw in the way that the 3D programs read things. And I was like, that's not cool. Fix it.
Come on, we have the technology.
Right? And the fact that it's the same flaw and problem that has literally been plaguing this program now for 23 years. Because I've been using Poser since 1999, and we've had that same problem since then. And it's extraordinarily frustrating. Because I got better things to do in my life, right? There we
One would
go.
hope.
Put him on there. Now that looks good. There. That's what we're after. It won't matter because I'm going to put a table in here.
So I
Table.
saw a comic Kickstarter the other day, and I don't mean to rag on this Kickstarter, but it irritated me.
Uh-oh.
And
Okay.
it's already 266% funded. And the title of this Shakespearean play,
Uh-oh.
hang on. I have to get this correct because this is Big Titty Goth Girlfriends on the Moon.
Oh.
The comic.
God. Can we not do that and say we did?
And
Please.
it's funded. Like,
It's funded. Ugh. This stuff hurts my soul.
it had a goal of $3,000 and it's almost at $9,000.
The thing that makes me so sad is, like, as a person, I feel like I humanize women and work really hard to do so. And then those things don't humanize women and they get funded for it. And I'm like, and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's like,
we bust our ass off.
yeah.
on our particular comics.
We
And
can't get them funded to save our lives.
and I'll see if I can get this funded. Like I'll try a Kickstarter.
I guess I should say that. I should say I've never tried. I mean, it's not like I've gone out and tried. I've never fired off a Kickstarter, but I don't think it's gonna.
No, I would like to hope that it would get funded because
Right.
that would be kind of cool.
It would be cool.
But at the same time, it's like, I'm trying to write this comic that is sort of a uh, questioning both the magical girl genre and the kind of war comic genre.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this thing will get funded. And they have things like lusty barbarian bimbos, and that makes hundreds of thousands. It's like,
Right. It's extraordinarily frustrating.
and yes, that's a real book.
I mean, didn't even guess that it wasn't. I mean, I had a pretty good feeling that it was.
And it's very easy to take that as, oh, I'm being sour grapes. And it's not that at all. In fact, the guy made this $9,000 so far in his Kickstarter. That's fantastic.
It really is. I agree. I don't want to say that, I don't. I mean, like, but on the same token, when why will you not increase in size? On the same token, if it was, let's say, R. Alan Brooks is a good example because I just met him, and I'm still like, I feel bad because I felt like I did something just dense, but that's okay. It's okay. R. Alan Brooks is doing a comic that is it's about dialogues between people of color, and it's sort of setting up a like questioning and answering sort of questions that you ask that or at least we should be asking when it comes to people of color. And it's a great comic. I would be ecstatic if he had made 9,000 on a Kickstarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Like that would be,
Burning Metronome did really, really well. Like,
yeah.
and that's still one of my favorite comics from him. I have two of them. I need to get one of them signed by him, but it's
Yeah.
an amazing comic.
And that's the thing, right? Like he does good work. So it's not a sour grapes thing. It is definitely not. If I could get Arlen Brooks to get his stuff out there, it would be great. So it's not sour grapes. Don't worry. Nobody's sitting here feeling like you're doing sour grapes. Oh, hey, hi. Good to see you, man. Boy, I want to talk about someone who goes back a long ways. Hi and I went, gosh, was it? We were in, I want to say we were in like second grade together too. I know we were in fourth grade together, but I feel like we were even earlier than that. Like, were you at the Montessori? I don't remember if you were at the Montessori or not. Anyway, Hi's coming in from New York. I don't even know if it occurs to me, if you don't go by Hi, Yeah, I thought you were at the Montessori with me. So that means that Hi and I probably go back to like second grade. Second grade. Second grade. That's a long time ago. It occurs to me, my friend, if you do not go by Hi anymore, tell me. Because of course I'm going to call you the name that I have known you by for a better part of 50 years. But if you don't go by that anymore, or if that bothers you, just let me know. Let me know. It's been a long time.
The show in which Guy dates himself.
Yeah, somebody's got to. Okay, okay, you go by Hi. Good. All right. Boy, I'm getting all kinds of people today. Okay, she's leaning up against this chair and she's throwing a knife. So I need to roll her hips back. We're going to roll her hips back. So she's leaning like so. We're going to move her. Move her back so she's up against this chair. Because she is his bodyguard.
And that's when Guy accidentally creates body horror as her top separates from her bottom.
Yeah, it's happened. I'm just rolling her forward. So what's really interesting is that Hi's younger brother is still kind of in an ancillary section of our friends. And they keep saying, "Oh, Guy, you got to meet this guy named Cody. He's really cool." And I'm like, wait a minute. Because, like, totally, I know who we're talking about, but I haven't seen him either in like 30 years. But he's out on the fringes of our friend group again. And it's kind of cool because it's like I can see that there are connections out there, which is nifty. I think it's pretty cool. One of my first sleepovers ever was at Hi's house. Like as a kid. I remember, I still
It's a good
remember
thing that you quantified that.
right. One of my first sleepovers ever, that was 3 weeks ago, was at
Yeah.
Hi's house. But no, I mean, like, I remember it because I remember being homesick. And I remember because it was my first time, right? It was the first time out of the house. And it was second grade, third grade. Yeah, second grade, third grade, something like that. I don't remember, but I still remember being there, and I remember being very homesick. And I remember my mom had said, "You can call me if you want to come home." And so I was like, "Can I call my mom?" And I called her, and she's like, "Are you sure you want to come home?" And I'm like, "No." And so
Typical
she's like,
kid.
"Well, why don't you go hang out and play for a while? And you tell me if you still want to go home a little later, you know."
Yeah.
And I was just, it had nothing to do with what was going on. I mean, it's not like, I was actually throwing a pretty cool party. It was a lot of fun, but, I was homesick. And so I was like, "Oh, it's so funny." It's funny looking back on that now as a 50-year-old man, because I am like, it was just ridiculous. That was a fun party. Yes. No, I don't. No, I don't think we watched Ghostbusters at that one because legitimately, I think that might have been 1979. So we watched Ghostbusters later because I do remember going to a party at your place because you just lived right over here. Because see, I'm still back in the neighborhood. I live at 71st or 72nd in Depew. So I am way back in our neighborhood. In fact, my kid's going to North Arvada right now. So there's that, which I probably shouldn't say on air. I'm just saying, but it's hi. I've got to say hi. Which is funny. That sounds funny, but that doesn't even occur to me that that's a joke, because it was hi and guy, and I mean, like, we both kind of got it for our names. She's not happy, so I'm going to make sure that reset her eyes.
If bodyguard ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Right, she's not happy. I think I need to reset her eyes, because I think her eyes are moving in the wrong way. Speaking of body horror, here we go with the body horror. Reset her eyes. There we go. Yeah, I think Kai and I had a right. I mean, like, you live just down the street, which is totally what because we both went to the same. We went to the same Montessori school, which was over there, and then I think we both ended up transferring over to the local elementary. No, you transferred over to the other elementary. Yeah. That's right. You were over at the other elementary, the one that Kevin Weibler was at. So you hung out with my buddy Kevin. Whom I still hang out with him. Speaking of, and Aaron, I still hang out with Aaron. Although not as much, because Aaron moved to Colorado Springs so that he could not live near anybody, because Aaron is Aaron and that's what he does. But I think that's where, hey, Hone. That's so weird. That's right. You were at Tanglewood. It's like you and I had like similar lives, but like they went different directions. So Hone Hiroki, or Hai, is a buddy of mine from literally second grade and third grade, and then I think seventh grade, eighth grade, and ninth grade. And so, because like we hopped back and forth between schools that were similar. So, and he lives out in New York now, and so it's pretty cool. Yep, a really old pal from the days of your days. I wonder if I put this pedestal thing on the top, it'd be kind of cool. First things first, let's get her to have her hands. I want that hand to be throwing the knife. So let's go ahead and find something that looks like she's tossing the knife. All right, that looks good, like that. There we go. So giving just a little bit of a lilt to it. Back in Saratoga. Gotcha. Yes, you were stationed out in Korea. It was before I went to Japan. Were you in Korea? Okay, first of all, do you know Kevin? Because were you guys in together at the same time in service? That's a good question. Because now I'm totally I don't know. We'll see. I have to have a knife. Knife. Do we have a knife? Let's see. Let's see if we've got a knife.
Things you can say in comic making that you can't say.
All right.
Fuck.
Well, don't say that.
Put it up. Put it up.
The whole thing?
No.
Oh. How bad?
It was only two. I started to do my panel outlines, and I was on the wrong layer, so I only got two. So it wasn't bad, but still, it was
Still enough to be brutal.
annoying.
Yeah. All right. What do we got over here? Desk supplies. I feel like desk supplies won't help. You remember Aaron? Who doesn't remember Aaron, though? I mean, let's be realistic. What's so funny is Aaron, the buddy we're talking about, if you meet him today, you'd identify him immediately, even if you knew him in second grade. He is exactly the same person, just taller. It's so funny. I mean, like, the personality hasn't changed one bit. He was fully cooked at like second grade. So his voice is deeper, and that's it. But other than that, he is identical. Okay, so I've got scopes, straps, grips, clips. That rhymed. But no knives. Why do I not have knives? Let's see here. There wouldn't be any knives in an office setting of any sort. I mean, I can use anything for a knife, but a knife would be nice if I could use a knife for a knife. Sci-fi tools. Always good to have sci-fi tools. Wonder if I have just like a space knife. Space knife. Shock sticks. Scanner wands. Scanner wand might make for a space knife.
Do you have any like fantasy equipment?
I've got a couple of fantasy. You know, it's me. I don't usually do fantasy stuff typically.
I think it's time that you up your fantasy game just so
I
that you
know,
have
right?
access
I
to
need a knife.
knives.
All I need is a knife here, folks. I'm having a problem with knives. That's all I need. I know I have a lyre. I don't think that'll help us, though. See you someday when you're free. Honey, it was good to have you for a minute or two. And hello, Tormund, the cat. Like, I have these handguns. I don't know if that's not going to work. I need something better than that. So part of the reason we're going through all of this is, yeah, right, Klingon knife. That's what I need. Yeah, well. Part of the reason I go through all of this is it gives me a good idea of what the place looks like, and I can do all of the setting up of this scene before I end up. I've got a violin. That's weird. I can do all the setting up and make it look right before I decide, yeah, that's the drawing I want to do. Rigged water. I have water. Built in? No. Classrooms? Why do I have a classroom? What would I use a classroom for? Ice skating. Okay, so I've got some weird stuff in here. I don't have a knife, but I've got ice skates. Like, okay, well, you know, sometimes I don't know. I've been using this for so many years now that I'm sure Brian has paused or dropped.
No.
No? Oh, there he is.
I was trying to figure out this pose.
Yeah, so Hi is talking about working on cars with Aaron. And it's so funny because that's my high school. That's what I did during high school. I just went over to Aaron's house
And worked on cars.
and worked on cars. And like that's where I got all of my car knowledge from. Because we did everything. It was like, I mean, I remember one day his grandfather came down from Coal Creek Canyon, and he brought his Subaru with him, and the Subaru had developed a knock, and it was because he was in the middle of changing the oil, and he had emptied all the oil out, and his daughter, Aaron's aunt, took the car before he put the oil back in. He drove it down Coal Creek Canyon, then back up Coal Creek Canyon. And it developed a knock after that.
Gee, I wonder why.
And he put the oil back in, but he was like, the knock's getting so loud I can't hear the radio anymore. So he drives it down with another Subaru engine in the trunk. And he says, just swap it out. So Aaron and I look at each other. And we get the wrenches out and we start pulling that engine out. And so we pulled the engine. And of course, Subaru box engines are kind of a bizarre. Anyway, this is a 78 DL, I think is what it was. So 78, 79, thereabouts, the little Subaru sedan that they came out with in the late 70s. Had the little 4-cylinder box engines where the cylinders are this way. So they're in a box. So we unbolted the thing and pulled all the vacuum lines and pulled all the wiring harness off of it. Pulled the engine out, grabbed the engine out of the trunk, put that one in. That was a weekend. We did that over the weekend. Gave him back the car, We also, while we were doing that, we put in a new clutch and throw out bearing and had to put in the new clutch line and stuff like that. But, that was a weekend. This is what I did over that weekend. He and I just pulled the engine and put the new one in. Then we pulled that old engine apart, and one of the rods had a crack going through 90% of the rod. And it was just about out of there. He was going to throw that rod at any moment. It was ready to throw that rod. And I remember we pulled that rod out and we're both just looking at it going, how did he drive on this thing? That crack all the way through. There's your problem right there. While we were at it, the new engine, I remember we put in rings and seals and we redid the heads so that it had new seals. So he had effectively a brand new engine. I think he took that engine and ran it another 200,000 miles. So, but that's the stuff I did in high school. I don't want to do that ever again, but I am so over working on cars. Somebody else works on my car now. There is no way. I am so over that.
Did I tell you about when we worked on one of the cars here? Dad decided that it was cheaper to work on a car himself, and we got a Chilton's manual to repair a car.
Oh,
Have
boy.
I ever told you the story of the infamous Step 6?
Uh-oh. No, but I like it already. I want to know.
Okay. So we're following the guide. We're draining the transmission and putting in a new gear in the transmission.
So you're
So
pulling the transmission out.
yes.
Okay.
So we get through all the steps, and it is at this point we have completely pulled the gear shifter. We have pulled everything so that this car is non-functional at this point.
It's all out. Mm-hmm.
Step 6. Drive around for 15 minutes to warm up the fluids in the transmission.
Oh, no. You're like, everything's out. We pulled everything out.
I hit that point. My brain immediately freezes, and I said, Dad, we have a problem.
Right.
He goes, what's the problem? We've done everything correctly. And I read it to him, and he goes, what? That can't be right. Let me see that. He read it like 3 or 4 times.
Trying to figure out how in the world did we do this? How did that happen?
So step 6 will remain in infamy for a long time for us. In fact, whenever we have to repair something, I bring up step 6.
Right. Weird. Okay, I think I'm getting over this enough that I think I don't care. I think I'm just going to go back to the sci-fi equipment that I had and make the sci-fi thing work, because I think I'm just getting kind of over this. Looking for a direct thing. I can't believe that I can find. Oh, wait a minute. I have a weapons directory, don't I? I wonder if there's anything in the weapons directory. Maybe I don't have a weapons directory anymore. I thought I had a weapons directory. I was trying to make these things sorted and sorting them out in some way, and all I ended up with was the other sorted. It's just confusing now. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I can make a really cool long sniper rifle. Okay, well, I'm not sure what to think about that, but okay. I have diapers. That's weird too. Oh, that's stock. That's why. I'm like, why do I have diapers? Oh, that's stock. Okay. I mean, not like that makes it better. Scissors. I've got scissors. I'll stab you with scissors. Don't run with them. Did I lose Brian completely? Meh. Brian, where'd you go? Brian. Brian. Am I still connected? I'm still connected. Yes? Yes, I'm still connected. He'll come back when he gets back, I guess. Okay. Security, right? We had the wand. We'll just use the wand. And right hand wand. Bring it in. There it is. We can shrink it down. Stab you with a wooden spoon. So we'll shrink it. We'll raise it up. And we'll flip it. This will work. This will work just fine. It'll be fine. Right? Let's shrink it down a little bit more. Okay, perspective view. Let's grab that. So for those of you who are not familiar, this icon right here, you know what, I can switch to straight monitor at this point in time. This icon right here is the most useful icon ever. It means it's center on whatever is selected. So I'm going to rotate this down and over and give it a little bit of a she's throwing it, right? So it's rotating. We want to give it some rotation. Okay. Looking from the camera view, get it out of her face. There we go. There we go. So now we've got action and motion going with the blade there. The only thing is he has a stogie, right? That was the instructions coming from here. He's got a stogie. So that doesn't, it just needs to be a cylinder. So I'm not going to even look for a stogie at this point in time. That's ridiculous. Primitive. And we'll just go for a cylinder, except we've made a cylinder. It's out there. Take the cylinder wherever it went. Where did our cylinder go? Is it really thin? Yes, it is. Okay. Cylinder. scale it up to be cigar sized. Shrink it down so that it's all right. Well, boy, talk about getting cancer. This is the way to do it. We'll put it out to one side. Nope, 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 nope. Since we're using just the basics of the mouth, I don't really care too terrible much if it fits or not. Like I'm not going to make his mouth clamp around it because we're going to draw that and then it's going to be the way it goes. So, but I do want that to be connected to his head so that if I move his head, which I may do like so, I want it to be connected to his actual face like that. See how it's moving with him now. I think that ping was Brian saying I lost power or whatever. We'll see what he says. Internet completely died. Like mid-word. He was in the middle of a word there. All right. So now I feel like we've got a good sort of rig going on here, basic rig. We're going to then just real quickly hit Control-Shift-S. I'm going to just take a look at what we've got. What do we have here that we can use? Is this usable, right? So we're going to bring back here. We're going to bring that in. And we're going to take a look. Let's just take a look. What do we got? Right? Because we're here. What does that look like in the actual design? I feel like I want more ceiling, something on the ceiling. We're looking up at these guys, right? So we'll adjust down more like this. I'll move these columns up because it doesn't, as you noticed, we didn't see the bottom of these guys very much over here on this drawing at all. So we're only going to see the top part of this anyway. But it's going to make it look like it's opulent. We want some opulence here. Let's scale it down a little to give it just so that there's more columns in the way. Maybe we'll make it taller because I'm looking for opulence. There we go. The feel of opulence. This column's in the picture, so kind of want to use that to my advantage, right? But I also don't want it to obscure the knife. So we're going to have to kind of think about how we're doing this. All I really need now is just something to give me like the ribbing along the top of a roof. Because that's what we really need is just kind of like ribs that are going across the ceiling a little bit so that we can get kind of the feel that something's going on. And with this, again, I don't really need anything more than a primitive. So I'm going to take a cube and we're just going to put the cube in here on the side. We're going to come back here. We're going to do this. Same thing we did before. We're just going to do that. And we're just going to extend it out, right? Because this will give us kind of the ribs we're looking for. The droids that we're looking for. We're looking for droids. We're always looking for droids. On the left view, I'm going to go like this. This is what we call orthographic view. which means that there's no perspective. Front view, also orthographic. I go like this. Line it up with that because that makes some sense. And we're just going to duplicate it. And duplicate the node. We're just going to keep going kind of in between columns here. Duplicate the node on this column as well. Duplicate node. I don't know if we're going to get poor Brian back. We may not. He may be gone for the day. We'll get him back tomorrow. Maybe he'll do watercolors with us tomorrow. This guy's not quite in the center. Kind of want to make sure this looks at least somewhat, right? I'm going to go through again, and we're going to duplicate this node. And go right here. There we go. And then the last one, even though I don't think I'm going to see it, it's always good to be kind of completionist on this. When you look from the camera now, you can see that what we've got now is we've got struts kind of going up along the top, which read more like a roof. And that'll give us some just granularness, some kind of feel that there's an opulence to this. And that's what we're really after, going for kind of that kind of effect. I'm going to make sure all these cubes are part of this wall. And then that way, when I move the wall, the columns go with it. And that's kind of an important thing because I think I'm going to move it more like this to give it just a little bit of an off center. Probably getting kind of closer to the idea that the center of our picture is this column right here. Kind of move into that concept so that we've got some symmetry in the picture. We don't have to worry too terrible much about it. Now that I've done that, I'm going to bring us down a little bit more again, and I'm going to bring the camera up. The idea is we're looking up at these characters, so we want some dynamics to it. So I'm going to bring it up like so and do kind of this and put that column right behind him. I have to be careful how I put this column because this column now is obscuring kind of where her hand is. And we want her to look like she's actually throwing that knife, right? So I kind of want to make sure I'm not. There we go. She's being flippant about this knife. Of course she is. She's an assassin. And I don't want it to line up with that. I want people to see it. So we're going to rotate it this way. I'm going to rotate it this way. So the way she's throwing it is counter to the structure of the building. Right, so you can see it there. We'll scale it up a little so we can really get a good shot of it. In fact, I kind of feel like you won't read that unless it's upside down. Because now it feels like she's really flipping that knife, right? And we also don't want it to be perfect. If it's perfect, it looks absolutely lined up. And I don't want it to be that way. We want it to be this way. There we go. That's what we're looking for. There. And now you can see it crosses the lines of the roof. We want to make sure that it does that so that you don't lose the knife inside the roof structure. So now we're going to take this, we're going to hit Control-Shift-S to, of course, do a screenshot. We're going to go on ahead and just grab all of this. Actually, probably wanted to do better than that. Let's do Control-Shift-S, grab the whole 9 yards, and then we can then scale as we need. So we'll go ahead and put that in. Dump this guy. And let's scale it to our needs. No, that's the wrong layer. That's the right layer. That's the right layer. Go. So scale to the correct size. And like I said, kind of want this column to be in the center. Right, we're going to do this. Maybe a little bit back. That's a little intimidating. And that's what we're after. Right, because that's the feel. That's the feel that I think I'm after. So either tomorrow or Thursday, we'll blue line that in, and I'll make him look jowlier and growlier and meanier and stuff like that. And we'll do that. She's pretty cool the way I think she is already. So we'll put in her hair and things like that. And we've still got a minute or two. So let's go ahead and just get started on that. Put in a new layer. I'm going ahead and head to blue line. Go into my pencil. I like using my rough pencil. It's always a good one. I'm going to go ahead and bring its color or its size up a little bit more, because what I really kind of want is more like that size there. So we're going to do that. First things first, we're going to put in a new layer right here as well. And we're going to make that a white layer so that we can see everything and see what we're dealing with here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about where this is, because now I'm feeling a little bit like when we look at the whole picture, and especially when we look at the original sketch, right? We're looking at the original sketch. We're higher on this than we are here on this guy. So let's go ahead and bring this down, and then let's move this guy until he's in the right spot. So this guy needs to be raised up. Really kind of have this kind of effect going for it here. There we go. It doesn't have to be all the way up to the top, but I do feel like that's better positioned, right? And if we're looking here on that, we're better positioned. So if we were to take our pencil and just kind of look at where we are in space and time on this, we got his head here, her head here, her body going like this. His body is a block, like so. The table is here, and we have things kind of radiating out from there. And here is the center line of the picture, kind of giving that the look. That's our layout, and I feel like that's pretty good. If we look at this sort of as a blocking instrument, like we're looking at how this picture is going to look in a general sense, when we block it and make it big and block it. I'm going to take like a 700 here, and we're just going to talk about what is and what isn't going to be in shadow on this, right? We kind of look at it this way. We can kind of see what this picture is going to look like. Kind of wondering whether I want a chandelier behind him, like right here, something in this area that I kind of want to make an object of. When I plan a picture out, this is kind of what I'm thinking of. If we put a chandelier in right there, it would kind of give something in this zone, right? So if we were to take and create a new primitive, and instead we're just going to take a cylinder. I'm going to make this 1 centimeter and its diameter 10 centimeters. And we'll make them 1 meter by 10 meters will be huge. But you know what? It works, right? It at least gives us an idea. Made a plate, not a chandelier, made a plate. We're going to go from the front view, and I'm going to hang this chandelier from, right here-ish, I think. I'll scale it down a little. Y scale up, like so. Then go from the left view, and we're going to put it all the way back so it's in the entryway. This gives it a logic to it, right? It's logically there. That makes some sense. We can move it back a little, make it come down just a hair. But the thing is, we know it's hanging from this support. So, and I may want to put something in there just to give me a guide on the lines, right? Because the lines are going to be screwed up. It's going to be hard to do the lines from there. So we're going to create a new primitive. And this one's going to be a different one. We're going to do the opposite version, 10 and 1. Huge. But we can get to it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to rotate him. He's connected to the beam there, and this will just tell us where that is. All right, we're going to get kind of an idea of where this is. So then we can duplicate the node. And this is really where we shine with being able to use 3D objects. Go to the top view. Let me come back here. And where 3D objects really shine is this. Right? And that way, when we come back from here, now we've got things. What you doing getting Facebook jail? Dare I ask? I don't know. What'd you do to... I mean, did I lose Facebook while I was... No, I still got somebody out on Facebook. There we go. And actually what I will do is I will duplicate this guy too. And bring him down. And then we'll shrink him a little. Like so. There, just give him something. Oh, the wooden spoon things. Oh, because you said stab. Okay. All of these things now belong with the wall. And they're all one unit. People keep complaining about things and then they're not fixing their actual problems. They're not fixing the problems at all. They're just auto-botting things. And that's kind of frustrating because it was a relatively cute statement. I'm not offended by it at all. And nobody asked me. You know what I mean? It's like nobody asked me whether I wanted to ban you for that and put you in Facebook jail. And I find that extraordinarily frustrating. I didn't actually ask you to be banned, you know? Yeah. So we are done with the broadcast for the day, but I wanted to finish this because we're getting so close to this. I mean, we're so very close here that I'm almost I mean, we're so close to finishing this layout. I'm just oh, of course it's the automated system. Of course that's what I'm saying is people keep wanting social media to police everybody. And the reality is you really just you can't police it. And it's not a policeable thing. It's not something you can do. Ahead and this whole thing, and we'll decide which part of this we want to keep. All right. We'll put it in here and dump this now. And that's part of that's part of the problem is we need to change cultures. We have a culture problem that really needs to be fixed. That's what I'm looking for. And this guy can be slightly off picture, and I'm okay with that. But there we go. Now I'm feeling like we've got, kind of like if we look in here, sort of we've got the darker areas through here. This is where this is going to be. That chandelier is going to be an interesting thing to the left side of the picture. It'll be good and solid. We'll be able to go in here and blue line this, which I will probably do tomorrow. I feel like we got this under control, so that's good. And I'll go ahead and just say blue line. And we'll go ahead and add a new layer under that, and we'll call this white. Also, you've probably heard me say onion skin. So, blue line, and then we will add a new layer, and we'll call that one ink. But we aren't there yet. All right, guys. I think we are rigged and ready to start the next picture for the next illustration. I'll go ahead and save this as, and we'll save it as illustration 3. Save it as illustration 3 in Clip Studio format too. Save. All right. And that's the nature of things, guys. We got it. So we're rigged and ready to start with illustration 3, starting tomorrow or Thursday, depending on whether I decide that I want to go on ahead and start 3. It depends. One more chandelier to offset it. You mean like on the other side? I feel like this is like a banquet room. We'll see. I think I'll go on ahead and close the wall to the right side of that picture. So we'll see if he needs another chandelier. Another chandelier to be balanced would be directly behind her head. And I feel like that's too much complication, too many things going on. She's already throwing that knife. You want that knife to be seen. And I feel like that's just too much complication. So we'll have to see. I'll save the scenes so that we can come back to it if we decide that we want to mess with it in some way again. So we're in Silver Pentacle 2. We'll call this Elio 3. Stuff. Save. So we'll save the scene. We'll save the rig. And if it comes to that, we'll look at it whenever I put in the blue line and see whether it looks unbalanced or if there needs to be something over there. What may be a thing we can do is put a plant or something on the right side lower and see if that maybe makes a little bit more of a balance. But I want to see what the blue line looks like first before we do that. The camera is locked in position, so any re-renders are going to come in the correct size, so we'll be fine. So, okay, cool. Well, guys, we had a lot of people today joining me. We had Hi came in from New York, an old buddy of mine from second grade and third grade, and 7th and 8th. And we had Ghost Hannon, of course, and Brent, and we had Hone, and we had oh man, I'm forgetting names. I can see their faces. That's the part that really sucks, is I can see people's faces. Luckily I can go back to see what we had before. We had Joan. I could see her face, but I couldn't see her name all of a sudden. And Jess, of course, we had Jess for a little while too. That was cool. So anyway, it was great having all of you guys here. We had Andrew for just a little bit, but then he had to go back to work. That was a lot of people. We had a lot of people today. It was so cool. So thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate having you all here. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for Watercolor Wednesday. And until then, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye.
Computer, good night.